So just last week, I got the delivery of my first retro handheld. And after much consideration and shopping different brands and types, I settled on this, the Retroid Pocket Classic. And let me tell you, it's been a great time. So thanks to the Steam Deck, I've been getting more into emulation and playing Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games on that thing. It was cool, but that form factor just didn't feel right. So I really wanted something specifically for those type of games. This is my first handheld. There was a setup process, but I got everything dialed in now. I got my ROM set up, and I'm gonna talk about how I'm using it. This is gonna be a quick overview, what it's capable of, how I plan on using it, and if it's worth the $130 price tag, even today in 2026. So let's get into it. Since Retroid handhelds are new to the channel, here's a quick breakdown on what they even are. They're a portable gaming device designed specifically for your retro consoles. There's a lot of different options out there. It can get overwhelming, and that's one of the main reasons why I chose the RP Classic as my first one, just to keep it simple. And the unboxing itself, it was pretty straightforward. The presentation was solid. You get the device and the charging cable, and honestly, that's all you need. First impressions were really positive. It's not too small, which was something I was worried about. Plastic feels good, not cheap. Buttons are responsive, the D-pad feels solid, and the 4 back triggers have this really nice clicky to them. There's also a 6 button options if you want better support for systems like Sega Saturn. And then there's the screen. Oh my gosh, this 3.9-inch AMOLED display is beautiful. I was excited to see it in person, and honestly, it still blows me away every time I turn it on. The pixel density is incredibly crisp, the colors pop, the blacks are deep, and it gets both ridiculously bright and impressively dim, which matters a lot for a device like this. Comfort-wise, I do want to mention one thing. The buttons sit weirdly low, so you have to hold it kind of propped up with your pinkies. It's kind of awkward, but you do get used to it. But if you're resting your hands on a desk or an armrest, it's really not an issue. Now, since this was my first retro handheld, the setup process was something completely new to me. If you've used tools like RetroDeck or EmuDeck, the concepts do feel familiar, so that definitely helped. The device does prompt you to download emulators during setup, which is nice, but I still followed a guide just to make sure I didn't miss any quality of life tips. I'll leave the guide I use in the description below if you're curious on how I set this up. And one thing worth mentioning is the RP Classic is Android based, so even though it's clearly designed for retro gaming, you technically have access to things like Chrome, YouTube, and Spotify if you want them. For me, it's more of a nice to have reason to buy it. I treat this thing as a dedicated gaming first device, but it's nice to know that I do have that flexibility if I ever want it. Okay, one of the biggest reasons I even chose the RP Classic was just how drawn I was to the retro aesthetic. I mean, it looks just like a Game Boy. And getting into emulation on the Steam Deck, it really made me want to try some of these older games that I've never really got to. Also, my daughter recently broke my wife's long-loved Game Boy Advance SP, so I've been thinking about replacing that with something special, and so it just worked out. And like I said, playing Game Boy games on the Steam Deck, it was great, but the form factor just did not feel right. The Game Boy game should be played on something that fits in your pocket, something that you can pull out and jump in quickly, and that's where this device really shines. Classic Game Boy games, they look incredible on this, and with the available shaders, they look even better. Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and Super Nintendo feel super refreshed on this AMOLED panel. The colors, contrast, and clarity genuinely give you a totally new experience. Nintendo DS, it works well too because of the tall screen, but what really surprised me was how much I love playing PS1 games on here, like Crash Bandicoot and Tekken in this pocketable format. My wife even started a new Spyro save, and even she figured out save states, so that just shows how approachable it is, even for someone who's not even deep into emulation. I've also been diving into Pokemon ROM hacks like Pokemon Prism on here, and that experience just feels like the perfect match for a retro-inspired modern device like this. Playing familiar games with modern twists on hardware that still feels true to its roots. I should mention, this device is capable of much more than the systems I talked about here, but because it's built around this D-pad focused layout and doesn't have analog sticks, I wouldn't recommend pushing it beyond what it's designed for. For me, that's not a downside, that's part of the appeal. I wanted a device that felt purpose-built for classic D-pad driven games, not something that was trying to do everything, even though it was still fun to experiment to see what it could handle. So those are my first experience with the RP Classic and how I plan on using it moving forward. If you keep your expectations in check and remember what the device is designed to do, the word classic is right there in the name. I think it's absolutely worth the price for the experience that it offers. The nostalgia of replaying these games combined with modern display tech and quality of life features, it's something really special. This isn't a device for everyone. If you want one handheld to do everything, this probably isn't it. But if you want a dedicated, pocketable way to relive classic games the way they were meant to be played, this makes a lot of sense. Aside from the small comfort gripe, I'm genuinely happy with the purchase, and I'm excited to keep playing these classics. If you've got an RP Classic or was thinking about picking one up, Let me know in the comments what you've been playing or what you think about it. I did get notification about my next handheld that just shipped today, so be on the lookout for that coming soon. If you liked the video and want to see more stuff like it, just hit subscribe. At the recording of this video, I'm at like 497 subscribers. So if you want to subscribe, subscribe. If you like the video, like it. I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Later.